Be yourself. You've probably heard that your entire life. I mean, I have. Somebody said that to you before something important, like a job interview maybe, or a meeting where you needed to be on point, sharp, because everybody in the room outranked you and you needed to be impressive. And you nodded. Yes, because what are you going to say? No. But let me tell you, or let me ask you something actually. When was the last time you actually did it? Not the small version of you, but the real one who said the honest thing out loud in a room in front of people who could do something about it. And then you had to live with what came after what you said. That person, did that one show up? I did that once. And I tell you, I actually do it again. And most days that's true. But it cost me a room, people I loved, a seat I earned. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it didn't hurt, because it did. And honestly, some of it really still does. So when somebody tells you just to be yourself and it doesn't work, I don't think you're doing it wrong. I think nobody ever told you how much it was going to cost you. So I'm going to give you a number before we're done. And I'll be straight with you. It's higher than you think, and none of it is paid with money. Are you ready? So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about me. All right. So you know, this is how I know. I spent about, at this point, 20 years inside organizations, watching people pay this exact bill at scale. A leader announces something new and the managers under him don't agree. And they quietly stay. No one ever said out loud that this was going to cost them something. So they just quietly suffer. But I don't train on tools, because tools are never the problem. And if that's something you came for, I'm the wrong guy for you. But if you're looking for something else, that's what I'm here to do. So here's what I come to believe. And I want you to say, let me say this. I want to say it carefully here, okay? It may sound cynical, but it isn't. Every single group of people you belong to, there's a price at that door, and you've paid it. You just didn't get a receipt. And sometimes it's nothing. You wear a polo, you laugh at a joke that was bad, you let the guy finish his story, even though you've heard it 3 or 4 times. It's a $2 cover. It's something you don't even notice because it comes out, just like your Netflix subscription. But some rooms charge a different price. Some rooms want you quieter than God made you. Some rooms want the version of you that doesn't pray out loud, or doesn't get excited, or doesn't say the true thing in the meeting. And everybody at the table knows what the real thing is, but saying it is more expensive than actually, like, no one said it. And everyone's quietly paying that price. And I guarantee that you have paid it too. Now, let's bring it up a little bit. Now, don't get it twisted. Paying is not weakness. We all are wired for belonging. So God made us that way, to be a part of a community. That's not a flaw in you. That's God's unique design. Human beings will almost do anything to not be alone, to be standing outside of a room. They always want to know, if we're going to use Hamilton, they want to be in the room where it happened. We'll change how we talk. We will change what we like. We will change what we admit to, and we will change what we let ourselves want so that we can be accepted in a group. And most of the time it's fine, but that's just how we live. But the problem isn't that you pay, okay? The problem is usually the cost associated with it. And a lot of us never look at the bill. So you've got 4 or 5 rooms in your life. All are charging you something a little different. And it's all coming out of the same account. And nobody's ever asking you to add it up. So you just might feel tired and can't figure out why. That might be some of you. I'm going to say that's for me for sure. Let's see. Let's think about some other ones here. There's sometimes when you get into a room and you've put in so much work, and you think that because you've misspoken or said the wrong word, it's going to cost you a future because you had that person in the room that you're trying to impress. But now you're beating yourself up because you missed a syllable in a word. Has anyone ever fumbled their words in a presentation? I rest my case. So how do you know when a guy, or how a guy carries a bad knee? I have one of those playing football. He doesn't limp. Not really. He just stops taking stairs 2 at a time, and he just goes once. He stops standing on the side. He adjusts his whole walk for about 2 years until it looks and feels completely normal to that person. And when somebody films him or their kid says something and asks you, why you walk like that? It's like, well, I've always been walking like that. That is what happens when we make adjustments for rooms for so long. Sometimes we cause injury to ourselves and we just adjust and we act like that's how we've been the whole time, when really that's not how you walk. And it causes you, that's not how you talk. So you end up having to pay this price. And that is what 4 cover charges do to a person who never knows that the charges are hitting the account. People around you may notice, but you don't notice that your walk has changed. Okay, so here's my issue with Be Yourself. I had a friend kind of adjust, or change my perspective on this, because sometimes we say, I'm just going to keep it 100. I'm going to be my most authentic self. Okay, I get it. It's sold to us like the room is going to have to adjust to us. Like if you just show up honest enough, everybody's going to just make space and say, we didn't know we needed someone who was 100% honest. Thank you for finally being real with us, said nobody. That's not what happens. Okay. What happens is the room does calculations. It does the math. And then the room checks whether the new version of you still fits what it needs. And sometimes the answer is yes. And you'll find out that those people actually loved you and not the service you were providing. So they want to know you. But when the full you shows up, sometimes that answer is no. And let me sit with that. That's the part that nobody puts in the caption. That's what no one puts on their Instagram post when they say, keep it 100. Being yourself is not a technique. It's a bill you agree to pay without knowing what the price is in advance. So there's a word for you that I'm going to give you here. And I want to give it to you nicely. And it's not an insult. But sometimes what we find ourselves doing is performing, not lying, but performing. And there's a difference, and it matters. Okay. Lying is saying something that's false. Okay. But performing is being accurate about everything else except yourself. Okay. So everything you say is true. The numbers are right. The smile is on, but the person doing it isn't the right person in the room. So that is why you're exhausted, by the way, because it's not usually the work that's exhausting you. The work is fine. You know what to expect, but it's holding the face that does the work that is acceptable by the people in the room for 9 hours. That is the exhausting part. And here's the thing about performing that nobody warns you about, okay? You get really good at it. That's the trap. You get so good that people start loving the performance. And then when you can't put the performance down because now you've been doing this for so long, you think that's actually you. And honestly, when the real you shows up, it literally is like a new person showed up in the room. So instead of paying that cost, you do the best you can to keep it up. And like a tab you keep open at the bar, the bill can keep on running. All right. So how do you know which room is a problem? Because it's not all of them. Some of that we already know is a cost of being a person around other people. So, don't go through your life canceling people and just saying, I can't be myself here. Sometimes you actually need that room. Sometimes you're too potent for certain people, and that's okay. You're not going to end up, alone. If you just decide to cancel everybody, you could. But what you need to do is understand which rooms are actually costing you a higher premium than you're willing to admit. And sometimes because of that, you have to build new rooms. And sometimes that can be a challenge in itself. So here's the test I use. It's one question. Is this room charging me something I can get back? Because there's a difference between you paying with your time and then paying with your integrity. Time can come back sometimes. Most times it does. It's the process of reciprocity. It's something that the Bible talks about is sowing and reaping. It happens. You can work more hours and then you can leave early the next day. They balance out. But integrity doesn't come back the same way, and neither does your voice. And neither do the years you spent being agreeable at the table where you had the right to answer correctly the whole time. A room that costs you effort is a normal room. Just pay that. That's easy. But a room that costs you is a different kind of room. And that's the one you already thought about when I asked that question. I know you can just take a moment. I'm sure you have an idea of a room that has been costing you. Okay. Now, there's a story in the Bible. There's a woman who, I believe it's in the book of Esther, who got put in the most dangerous room there is, a palace and a king. And the one thing she was told by someone she loved, Mordecai, was don't tell them who you are. Keep that quiet. Be safer that way. So she performed for years and it worked. She got queendom stuff. You know, anything a queen would expect. She won the room. She was beautiful. She had the seat. She had favor. She had everything you're supposed to want. Then one day, where staying hidden, let me say it again this way. One day came when staying hidden cost not just her, but everyone she cared about something. And she had to make a decision that I don't think gets talked about enough. She didn't get brave all of a sudden. She counted the cost. She said, if I go in there and say who I am, I might not come out of that room. But by faith, she went anyway. So read that again. I think when we tell this story in Esther, we say it wrong. She didn't get brave all of a sudden. She understood that stepping into the room of a king without being called was going to cost her something. And she went anyway. She looked at the bill. She decided the seat wasn't worth what it was going to cost her. Now, I'm talking to you. You don't have to burn your life down, but you do have to look at the receipt. Okay? Now, I told you I was going to give you a number. Here it is. The cover charge on the wrong room is 1 honest sentence a week, times however many years you've been sitting in the room. That's the whole bill. It never comes due all at once, which is exactly why nobody ever looks at it. So take some time, run your own math on that. Because most people land somewhere north of 1,000 sentences. And before you click off this YouTube, if you're sitting there certain that the expensive room is your job, give me like a few more seconds here because I have experience in this. And in my experience, it actually isn't your job. One more thing. Here's what I want you to do, and it's smaller than you think. Pick one room, just one. The one that came to mind about 8 minutes ago, and you tried to talk yourself out of that particular room. Then find one true sentence that you haven't been saying about it. Not a speech, not a confrontation, not a whole revelation of your soul, just one sentence. The thing you've maybe snuffed down about 40 times that everybody in the room would probably survive hearing. Whatever that is, say it this week. You're not going to blow up your life, but you are going to find out what room and what the cost of that room actually is. And right now you're actually guessing. And guessing is the thing that's been keeping you paying. A lot of us don't want to know how much this room is actually costing us. Not just us, but costing our soul. Whole isn't a loud thing. Being whole is just when the guy in the room and the guy in the car are the same guy. So comment in the sentence below the sentence that you've been afraid to say, and then say it. go for it, and you'll find out how much you really been paying.